Hello to my water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Welcome to the Aries full moon. You'll find the timestamps to your rising signs listed below. Hello Cancer Rising. Welcome to your reading for the Aries full moon happening very soon, this Thursday the 17th of October at 10:27 p.m. if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me. Finally, Cancer Rising, finally, we have a moon that we can trust. I hope that you can feel it, and I hope that your emotional availability is open to it. This moon wants you to feel what you're feeling. It really does. This has been one of the most potent eclipse cycles on record for me, and I wonder how it's been going for you. It's been a full month of instability with your guiding light, with the moon, with the part of our stratosphere that brings you comfort. And I can imagine that that would be quite destabilizing to not have access to the ritual, to not have access to these moments in time where you get to have your conversations with the moon. However, all of that is in the clear, because if you look up here where the moon is, the dragon is too far away, so there will be no eclipse at this time. The sun down here in Libra is spotlighting the moon and Chiron. The interesting thing is, the sun isn't alone either. The sun is next to this flower shape here, which is the asteroid Juno, that speaks to our commitment. And so if the asteroid and the sun are in exactly the same place, that asteroid is being galvanized, being warmed up, being heightened at this time. This action is down here in your fourth house, your home, your privacy, the place where you feel safe, the place that you've constructed for yourself, where you have a right to unfurl and be just as you want to be. So there's something here about the commitment in your life that's really being warmed up and is providing a great deal of support, holding the spotlight, shooting it up to the moon. And so this moon is clear of an eclipse in your 10th house, your most public facing self, your career, if you have one. What I like to think is it's the way that people perceive you. What does your legacy sound like to you? Is that comfortable for you to talk about at this time? Maybe, maybe not. Because next to the moon, we have this key shape. And this is Chiron. Now, if you're familiar with the story of Chiron, you might understand what this signifies. But I'll give you a very brief rundown. Chiron was a centaur, and very different to the other centaurs. Chiron had eternal life and put that time on this planet to good use. They learned everything. They learned herbalism, agriculture, literature, philosophy, the martial arts, everything that you could possibly want to know, Chiron downloaded into his mind. Unfortunately, at one point, Chiron was shot with a poison arrow, but because of their immortality, he couldn't die. And so he spent a great deal of his time in suffering, trying to find the salve to that wound, trying to find the right remedy to heal the pain. And so when we look to Chiron, either in the transiting astrology or on your birth chart, it will be different on your birth chart, but this is the moment for right now. And this moment has been sort of languishing. It's been an ongoing process of nearly 10 years. Chiron first entered your public visibility in the year 2018 and will be there until about 2027, because Chiron rotates around the sun in more of an ellipse, or like an egg shape that sort of is a bit far flung. And so when it's Aries time, it takes its time. in April of this year, there was a solar eclipse in Aries at 19 degrees, where the moon and Chiron and the sun were all in exactly the same place. So if you can remember back to April of this year, I'd like for you to have a think about what you were uncovering or what you were becoming consciously aware to around suffering that has to do with how other folks perceive you. Because we're going back here at this time, at this full moon, but it's not eclipsed. You don't have to prepare for the unprepared, or you don't have to worry that the moon doesn't have you back, because it does. And the shape of the glyph of Chiron might help you unlock some of that unconscious wounding around your confidence about what you put out there. Because I believe it. I see it. I think a lot of people that love you do. And our work with Chiron is eventually our ability to turn that key in the lock and to let it go. The eclipse in April may have been a bit staccato. There may have been some big decisions, or there may have been some, with the dragon's company, some real truths that you couldn't look away from any longer. But coming up to this moment, maybe you can feel confident in yourself that this key has been turned. And this moon is soothing those wounds. Because we can trust it. Now, if we look back to the astrology, Mars in your first house, the self, the soul, is in a bit of a tough spot, particularly with this lunation, with this moon, and also with Pluto over here in your seventh house. Now, this is your place of relationships and loved ones. We know that Pluto does excavate, does unearth, does reveal. We know that Pluto has got a couple of weeks before they click over into Aquarius full time. And so an opposition between this unearthing, this revelation, and the anger that might be brewing inside of you, and the potency of this moon might show itself. And if it does, Cancer Rising, I want you to feel supported by this message that your anger is valid and it's welcome here. It's how we work and operate and express our anger that really makes the difference. Very private, tender, vulnerable spots on your birth chart. You, home, them, your future. So I want you to go gently. I want you to reach out to whoever it is that brings you comfort if the emotions start to boil over. And I want you to imagine that key. I want you to imagine all of the opportunity of releasing ourselves. I want you to imagine being free of a confine, of a container. I want you to imagine it as the key to a new dream, a new vision. Because you've got so much to give us, Cancer Rising. You've got so much to look forward to, and we've got so much to look forward to from you. Now, it's not all brittle, it's not all tension. Because while that's all occurring, there's actually a beautiful line of support from Mars to Venus in your fifth house of your creativity. The place where you make shit up, the place where you have fun, the place where you have sex, the place where you enjoy your life. And Venus in that place couldn't be sweeter. Up here is Neptune in Pisces in the 9th house. And this is where you set out, you journey, you travel, you expand your mind. You definitely expand your mind with Neptune. So what does that sound like to you? Not everyone's a psychonaut, but it is painting a pretty potent picture for me. The antithesis of some of this grind, some of this disappointment. There's also room to enjoy. Let's get some tarot. Always room to enjoy. Take your own medicine, Numa. Bloody hell. I do enjoy myself. I do treat myself from time to time. I think sometimes when we're on the path to discovery, when we're sort of hitting some vulnerability that we've not looked at for a very long time, one of the ways to mask that is to work with Neptune in a more destructive way. This isn't about smoke screening or masking or shutting anything out. The advice, I guess, from Venus and Neptune and Mars at this time is to maybe show you the other side of the coin too. Your life has been so sincere, Cancer rising, and you deserve love and pleasure and company and fun and just mucking around. You deserve this. If you want it, you can have it. You deserve the company of someone that can't get enough of you. You deserve to have them make you breakfast. You deserve to make shit up together, do nothing, imagine, chill out. You deserve them to commit to you the way that you are so open to commitment. You deserve the company. You deserve the hope and the possibility that this card offers. You of all people are so deserving and worthy at love because you're so brilliant at it. The way that you offer it to those in your life, the way that you offer it to your friends, your family, the animals, people around you, the humanitarian condition, the way that you still hold on to hope that humans are good and worth having around. That can ebb and flow, and that's okay, that's natural. But really, you're the king of the water signs. You're just the best at love. You deserve to have some of that back. And you do have it all around you in your life. Maybe it's the kind of love that stokes you up, that lights your fire again, that you're craving. Maybe it's got something to do with helping you remember what magic is. Maybe it's got something to do with not wanting to be a continual caretaker all of the time, because you're so good at that. There's room in this life for fantasy as well. When we focus on love during the hardest times, magical things can happen. It's not about sticking your head in the sand and ignoring the reality of what's going on in your life and the world around you, but it's believing in the power of love, believing in the power of nature, believing in the power of art, and of beauty, and of freedom. I love you, Cancer Rising. And look, you may not want it at this time, but if you do, go get it. This is your key. This is your key to use as you see fit. If there are parts of your confidence or parts of your sorrow or your pain that need some guidance and a gentle hand from Chiron, then use this key. You can trust Chiron. Chiron's an expert. Chiron's classic in the way that it's easier to help other people than it is to help himself, but he teaches that too. We're allowed to rely on other people sometimes. We're allowed to ask for help. We're allowed to ask for support and encouragement. Let yourself do it. Cancer Rising. That's your reading. Thank you very much for being here with me. If you are still here, can you please put a key in the comments in honor of everything that we're looking forward to finally releasing. If you would like me to draw your birth chart like this one, similar, and read it to you, you can make your appointment at my website, umaruby.com. Pick the spirit reading if it's your first time. If you would like me to read your tarot cards face to face, you can book an appointment with me via the Muses of Mystery website. All of this info is in the description box below. If you would like to support my work financially, you can head to buymeacoffee.com/umaruby and put some money in the tip jar. And I will be with you soon enough for the Scorpio new moon coming up, which will be looking at your 5th house of your creativity, your art, your self-expression, your pleasure for pleasure's sake. A new moon is a time when we sow a seed. We set an intention and we wish for it. So let's do it then. Big love, Cancer Rising. Hello, Scorpio Rising. Welcome to your reading for the Aries full moon happening very soon, this Thursday, the 17th of October at 10:27 p.m. if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me. I hope that you're feeling released, Scorpio Rising. I hope that you can feel the burdensome trouble of the storm of eclipse season ease up. I hope that you're able to recenter and to recalibrate and to find some safety in your internal mechanism again. This full moon in Aries is one that we can really trust. It's free of eclipses. You can see here the dragon, while still in Aries, is too far away from the moon. Can't reach, can't gobble it up. And so with the sun over here in Libra, we are beaming a light of direction right down to the moon, right back to that beautiful visualization in the sky, a place where we can laugh, cry, scream, yell, become lunatics together with the moon. So, let it out. Let it run through you. Right here, next to the moon, is a little key shape, and you may be familiar with it, you might not be, but this is Chiron. And in our astrology, on our birth charts, our Chiron placement can point to parts of us that are very tender, that are very vulnerable, and perhaps are quite protected too. Perhaps we've locked them up for a time because they're too difficult to look at. Now, when Chiron transits around the zodiac and touches our birth chart in different places, we speak about those topics. And maybe we think about the collective, we think about the group of us human beings and what we might be unconsciously going through together. Now, Chiron has been in Aries since 2018 and will be there until about 2027. So it's a long journey in Aries, about 10 years-ish, just shy of. Chiron moves around the sun in a very strange shape. And so from our perspective, it will spend longer in some signs and less in others. But for Aries, it's about 10-ish years. Chiron in Aries can speak to things like self-confidence, can speak to things like sense of direction. And if Chiron is highlighting or opening up a conversation about our wounds around those topics, we sort of look around and we can see that probably a lot of our loved ones are tender at the moment. And we take this opportunity from Chiron as a metaphorical key. We get to notice where we're locked, and we get to release ourselves. Now, on your birth chart, transiting Chiron is in the 6th house. And this is where we are obliged. This is where we repeat. This is where we feel bound to something, maybe an act of service. And so thinking about this key that's being offered to unlock some pain, perhaps it's around a feeling of subservience or a feeling of being shackled to something. Perhaps it's around the limitations of your physical self, your physical body. That could be something too. And so Chiron, in its wisdom, is highlighting this moment with a moon that we can absolutely trust. We're safe with this moon. And so maybe if you feel ready for it, you might take some time with the moon and with Chiron. You might start to explore some of those parts of you that feel locked. The 6th house, it could be very physical, but it also could be to do with where you feel bound by obligation or an act of service. There's a lot of us that feel bound at the moment. There's a lot of us that feel constricted or confined. When I think about Chiron, I think about the longing and the search for healing. Think about the quest to try and use one's own intelligence, what one has learned for themselves, to take care of it. Initially, there was something quite solitary about Chiron and his suffering. He tried to fix it himself. But the mythology does teach us that some of our wounds, some of our pain points, we can't fix on our own. It could be something here, Scorpio Rising, in the way that you have recognized the pain that others are going through, and that you have committed yourself to unlocking that for them. You have committed yourself in a way that does feel sometimes like a hard slog, but at this time you've committed yourself to activate on behalf of those that you see in pain. And that's quite noble. Now, back to you, back to Scorpio. Here is Venus right now. So Venus is at 29 degrees, the anaretic degree, the final degree of Scorpio. Venus would much prefer to be in Taurus or in Libra. But that isn't to say that Venus can't do anything worthwhile in Scorpio. Venus takes on an extra layer of protection, an extra veil. But Venus still does some powerful, beautiful things. And what I want to draw your attention to is that through this sort of more sobering conversations around Chiron in Aries, there is a beautiful connection of sweetness that Venus is offering to Neptune and to Mars, your guiding light, up here in Cancer. And Mars is being very combative with this lunation, extremely so. Mars can represent our bravery, our valor, yes, can also represent our rage and our anger. So what's being painted here for me, Scorpio rising, is that yes, while this is valid and there's a time and a place to act up and to stand up, and perhaps maybe in some capacity this might be the story we're talking about, speaking up on behalf of others, those that have been subjugated, and using a blunt edge to get the message out. Mars is also being offered this sensitive, emotional, caring, gentle side of things too. Between your fifth house of your creativity, your artistry, your magic, your sexuality if you have one, and yourself. And so what this looks like to me is this moon can provide multiple experiences. We absolutely give ourselves that moment of break and relief. We can also feel the hope, the joy, the possibility coming back to us too. A lot of people have justice on their minds, and rightly so. A lot of people know that now is the time to act, to stand up. A lot of people also know that love is the answer. Love is the reason. So allow yourself some of that sweetness, Scorpio rising, amidst all of this frank and determined motivation. In quieter times, allow yourself some pleasure as well. Oh boy. Let's get some cards. I wanted to thank you to the last Libra eclipse horoscopes. My computer ate them and I was devastated, but I did send out a message to my mailing list and I was inundated with the response. So many people wrote to me and asked for what I had offered, which was the audio recordings to listen to. And it just made me feel so validated that my work was important to you. So thank you so much for reaching out, and I hope you enjoyed listening. Can you see what's going on here? Fact-checked, ethical, boundary in the mind, resolved, perfect. We've got to keep a clear head in times like these. We've got to keep the truth in our direct focus. We have to protect ourselves from getting swept up in the emotion of public discourse as much as we're able to, because just adding to the noise makes it all the more intangible or all the more inaudible to receive. So I'm very proud of you, Scorpio Rising, for keeping your ethics firmly in check and putting your head down, and through all of this eclipse energy, through all of this chaos, doing the work and standing firmly in what it is that you know, and educating yourself if you don't know, and moving forward, moving with that truth, with that ethical framework. It takes a lot of swords to do something like that, and you can see that too many swords in the tarot is our undoing. And now it's time for a bit of fun. I think this is Venus and Neptune at this time. Well, we could say Venus and Neptune and Mars, the three of them, in the water signs, chilling out, having fun, remembering what life is for. Now, life isn't always easy, fact, and you've got to take the rough with the smooth, sure. And the reality of what we're existing through as a group is horrific. And I'm really proud of you, Scorpio Rising, that you're opening up and you're able to receive some pleasure as well, to receive some fun, to hold your proverbial sisters close and make a mess, to be kind and caring and open to each other, to listen to how the other one is feeling, to support and prop up and champion your close, sacred bonds. And from here, well, who knows? Anything is possible. You could ask a question right now if you wanted to, Scorpio Rising. If you've got a question for the High Priestess, I always ask her. She seldom tells me with her voice, but she reminds me deep down that I know. She reminds me that to balance the light and the dark takes a lot of skill. She reminds me of the possibility of this form of spirituality. She reminds me of the fantasy of believing that our consciousness is connected, that we are all living and experiencing this life together. She reminds me that I know that we are the galaxy. She reminds me that I know that we are a speck of dust. She reminds me that I know nothing. She reminds me of magic. She reminds me of hope. She reminds me of home. So give yourself this moment at this full moon, Scorpio Rising. Pen down, study done, mission accomplished. Get back to the fantasy. Get back to the dream time. I love you very much. Thank you very much for being here with me, Scorpio Rising. If you are still here, you can put a key in the comments. That would be gorgeous. And let me know how you're feeling in the aftermath of the eclipses. Let me know what you have hope for in the future too. If you would like me to read your birth chart, you can make your appointment at my website, umaruby.com. I will draw you one. They look something like this. And if it's your first reading with me, pick the spirit reading. If you would like a face-to-face tarot reading with me, you can make your appointment at the Muses of Mystery website. All of the links are in the description below. And if you would like to financially support my work, you can do that at buymeacoffee.com/umaruby. Thanks for that, Scorpio Rising. I think I need a break after that one. I feel quite emotional. I believe in this stuff. I believe in that stuff. It helps me. It helps me hang on to hope. And I hope that it does for you too. Take care. Hello Pisces Rising, welcome to your reading for the Aries full moon happening very soon this Thursday the 17th of October at 10:27 p.m. if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me. I hope that you feel released after eclipse season, Pisces Rising. I hope that you feel free. I hope that you feel ready to commune with the moon. Finally, after 1 month, we have a full moon that we can trust, and it feels really emotional. It feels very vulnerable, and it feels the perfect time to let out some of those feelings that we've been keeping at bay for some time. Here's the moon right here in your second house of your talents, your self-worth, and your values. And it's too far away from the dragon who is over here, heading to Pisces. This moon is free of eclipses. We get to do what we do best at a full moon. We get to stand underneath it. We get to hold out our arms. We get to embrace it and thank it and cry our tears and scream our joy. I want you to think about everything that you know of self-esteem and what lessons you've been learning on that topic since the dragon was urging us to. If we cast our mind back to the beginning of this eclipse cycle, it was April of 2023. That's a long time. That's a big journey of self-discovery around our belief in our work and our talents and our values. The dragon has been unstable, has been pulling us, urging us to look, to uncover. And also, this key right here has been doing the same thing in a subtler condition, but ever present in Aries since the end of 2018. Chiron, the key to our unconscious wounding, has been gracing the second house of talents and values for you. There's been things that need to be looked at. And at the Aries solar eclipse of this year, Chiron, the sun, and the moon were all in exactly the same place. So if you can remember back to April of this year, and perhaps the urgency that you felt that you needed to really name what you value, to prove to yourself what you're good at, and also maybe to unlock some of this wounding around your self-esteem too. This full moon is not eclipsed. This full moon is in company with Chiron. And so what I want you to do is visualize that this key is in your pocket. At the full moon in Aries, you're going to take out this key and you're going to reach deep, deep, deep into your soul, and you're going to turn the key and you're going to unlock the unconscious pain that you've been harboring around your worth. Chiron couldn't heal his own wounds. Try as he might, with everything that he had studied, everything that he had learned, everything that he'd put his mind to, Chiron could not heal his own suffering. And part of that mythology belongs to us too. We needn't do all of our deep work alone. And so maybe you've been in process with a guide. You've been working with someone who sees your suffering and who can provide some opportunity, who can provide some options for your healing. And now that the dragon is gone, we're in the clear. We can lay with Chiron. We can allow Chiron to tend to our suffering. And we in turn can help Chiron too. Together we lay, dressing the wound, massaging the shoulders, understanding where we suffer, and taking steps together, leaning on one another to rise again and to move forward. You are so valuable, Pisces Rising. You are worthy of love. And you are worthy of comfort. Your generosity is obvious. And your talents are bright. You're worth it, kid. You always have been. And if ever your insecurity arises again, it's okay. Time isn't linear. It's cyclical. We go around and around and around. And if ever you're frightened or worried or scared again, just turn the key and allow Chiron to help. Neptune, Venus, and Mars are all singing to each other at this full moon. They're connecting your voice, your knowledge, your beauty, your artistry to your passion and your drive and your creativity and your dreams. Imagine Pisces rising. Imagine that anything is possible. That your input, that your work, that your imagination is vibrant and worth it and beautiful and gorgeous and exactly what we need right now. Imagine love. Imagine connection. Imagine inspiration. And call it in at this full moon. Right on the back of Chiron. And go find it. Let's get some tarot. I sit with you in this moment, and I see your pain. I bear witness to your suffering, and I ask you, are you ready for the key? Are you ready to release yourself from these thought patterns, from these behaviors, from these bonds? Because if you are, let me unlock. Let me release you. Let me invite you back to nature. Nature is messy and unpredictable and diverse. And what you may hold in your mind's eye as perfection might not be possible or true. But look deeper. Look deeper into what you want from life. Is it connection? Is it love? Is it self-acceptance? Because if you look deeper, Pisces rising, you'll realize that you already have it. It's in your life. It's in your heart right now. You have such brilliant mastery over the way that you think. You've learned your rhythms and your patterns, and you're coming to the root cause of some of this repetitious thinking. It's not easy, but you are doing such a brilliant job at calling yourself out when you're lying to yourself. This is a commitment, a lifelong commitment to your beauty. To your right to be here. I'm so glad to hear that you have decided to let yourself free. And if ever you find yourself in the same darkness, don't worry. You can always come back to me, and I will remind you of where the key is hidden. That's your reading, Pisces Rising. Big, big love at this full moon. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of your progress in everything that you're achieving, everything that you're coming to terms with, and everything that you're discovering about yourself. It has taken such commitment to yourself and such self-love to get here. Rest, 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 rest. Enjoy the full moon, my love. If you're still here with me, pop a key in the comments. If you would like me to draw your birth chart, head to my website, umaruby.com, and book a spirit reading. If you would like a face-to-face tarot reading, head to the Muses of Mystery website. All of the links are in the description below. And if you would like to support my work, you can head to buymeacoffee.com/umaruby. So much love to you, Pisces. I'm so proud of you. And the moon is too. I'll see you at the next one.